My own love affair with Jane Austen began in 2011 when I first studied Pride and Prejudice at university, and since then I have seen so many Pride and Prejudice adaptations, I've read so many parodies, and the one that I always wanted to see but never got round to it was the 1941 with Laurence Olivier. Now that I've seen it, I can honestly say that it is easily one of my favourite Pride and Prejudice adaptations, and that includes the one with Colin Firth, because it is so funny, it's so cleverly done. The characters, I feel, were all perfectly cast, and from start to finish, I just felt so absorbed in this story. So there won't be any spoilers in this review. I kind of assume that if you're listening to this, you have some knowledge of what Pride and Prejudice is about, but just in case you don't, I will read out the short description on IMDb. So it says, the arrival of wealthy bachelors in town causes an uproar when families with single daughters aggressively seek engagements, including the Bennet family with 5 eligible daughters. Now, it's not the entire family who is going to be seeking out these eligible bachelors, but obviously as the main story goes, we have Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, and several other of the Bennet daughters as well are vying for this attention. I have to say, some of the portrayals of the daughters were absolutely fantastic. Directed by Robert Z. Leonard, and the screenplay is written by Aldous Huxley and Jane Murfin. But for me, what makes this beautiful is the cast, the comedic timing. Now, Pride and Prejudice is not a comedy, but it has some comedic characters in it. Namely, for me, my favourite is Mr. Bennet. He's played by Edmund Gwenn in this film. His comedic timing is fantastic. The way he just responds and reacts to Mrs. Bennet, who's played by Mary Boland, is just so beautiful. He embodies what I envision when I read that character. So for me, that's without a doubt my favourite performance of Mr. Bennet. Elizabeth Bennet's played by Greer Garson. I was going to say she's not my favourite portrayal of Elizabeth, but to be honest, I haven't really got a favourite portrayal of Elizabeth. I don't know, really enjoyable performance. I don't have a favourite, so maybe that is a contender. Mr. Darcy is Laurence Olivier, and wow. I mean, Olivier is the Olivier of Oliviers. He is his own entity, he is his own being. He's completely a cut above most others, and his portrayal of Mr. Darcy was dashing, fantastic, appropriately arrogant, beautifully charismatic, stunningly beautiful. He's not Colin Firth. For me, Mr. Darcy is Colin Firth, but Olivier gives a really good performance. There isn't really anybody in this who I didn't think suited their characters. Jane, I particularly liked, played by Maureen O'Sullivan. All round, the casting was very good. I felt like the pairings as well, not just the individual castings, but when they were kind of coupled off or whatever, I thought that kind of worked really, really well. The narrative's pretty true to the book. I can't recall any differences, but it has been a good couple of years since I read the book. So there could be some differences. If you know any, please let me know. I'd be very glad to hear those. The film actually won an Oscar, which is not surprising, to be perfectly honest with you. It won the Best Art Direction, black and white. It is a black and white film, and I don't know why, but I think because given the age, given, the fact that Pride and Prejudice is a classic novel, I just feel like it feels more homely when it's in black and white. It helps you to kind of immerse yourself back in that time and be at one with the characters, and I love it. It's not as mushy as I'd feared. There are certain Pride and Pred adaptations where they really play on the romance aspect, but this one really tapped into the humour that Austen injects into her writing, and that is something I thoroughly enjoyed. So would I recommend Pride and Prejudice from 1940? Without question. I promise you will love it.